First things first, overtime. Baker Mayfield getting ready to play the Patriots. Overtime, getting ready to talk about the Bills. Interesting storyline here. Bills headed to Miami Sunday afternoon. Buffalo GM Brandon Beane.
I like that.
I get it. Built different.
I like that.
Pretty good. Buffalo GM Brandon Beane confident in the roster and frustrated he didn't make any deals. Take a listen.
You can't make decisions in a vacuum or in a silo. They all have long-term effects. Yeah, believe me, I went home as mad as any other fan, or as mad. Like, I wanted to do things. I'm always wanting to do things to make this team better. I ain't giving up, but I also believe in our roster too. And to Jay's question, I do believe we can win a championship with this roster.
I did not like that at all. Listen, I agree they can win a championship. I don't think it's going to be this year, but it wouldn't. If you were to tell me, I've looked into a crystal ball, the Chiefs don't win the AFC, my definitive pick would be Buffalo. And I think whoever wins the AFC is going, if it's one of those two teams, will be the favorite in the Super Bowl. But it is, and I don't even blame him necessarily, Danny, for feeling that way. I don't know why he'd say it. I don't know why he would tell the world, like, yeah, I was doing everything I could to add players. And it feels like, because remember, he called in to talk radio this summer.
Yeah.
Remember that? And it was, you guys are mad we didn't draft a receiver. We talked about how the problem wasn't the offense. He
was correct about that.
Sure, but he seems very attuned to the criticism. And it felt, to me, this was trying to front-run potential criticism of you didn't do anything, as opposed to, even if you were trying to do stuff, just coming out there and be like, I love the team we have.
Yeah.
We just, we just manhandled, whether he says it or not, we just soundly beat the 3-time defending AFC champs. We have 2 losses. No one in the conference has fewer losses than us. So I thought it was weird for him to just say, yeah, I was trying to add pieces and just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think from a PR standpoint, he maybe was a smidge too honest, but it's also the last opportunity for real that a general manager has to do anything for the team, and now it's totally out of his hands. So I could imagine just like a human nature amount of frustration there. He's like, okay, I thought last year's team was good enough, and they didn't get it done. And it's the last year in the stadium. There's a tremendous amount of pressure in Buffalo we've got the quarterback, we got the team, we keep knocking on the door. We went to 4 straight Super Bowls back in the 90s, couldn't get it done. When are we going to get it done? So I think that's Brandon Beane feeling a little pressure. But the overarching point there was they're good enough to win. And he is correct, because it's looking like it was a 2-game blip for Buffalo. And then a soft schedule early where we're like, man, this team doesn't have that impressive of a resume. But with wins over Baltimore in week 1 and wins over the Chiefs last week, that's not even the case anymore. But if you look at like what they've done halfway through the season, they're top 10, both sides of the ball, in like basically everything that we care about. Wins, scoring, yards, rushing yards, opponents' points per game, opponents' passer rating, pressuring the quarterback, hitting the pick your stat. They're good at it. They have impressive wins. They scored more points than anyone in football last year when you extend it through the playoffs, including the Eagles and the Chiefs, who played, obviously, an extra game than them. So their offense, to the quote you referenced earlier, Nick, isn't the problem. Like, we have some questions about their defense, and they don't have as many big star household names on their roster, and the Ed Oliver injury certainly does matter. But, man, there are as few questions about Buffalo as just about any team in the NFL.
Yeah, I think this was just him really trying to inform their fan base, because that was a question from their local reporter. And so obviously they've been getting a lot of influx of, well, we didn't do anything. Why didn't we do anything? When you're in those small markets, I was in one in Green Bay, get a ton of fan mail, a ton of questions of
people coming up to you at the bowling alley.
Everywhere.
Like, what's going on?
But I thought it was great for him to be informative of, look, we're always trying to improve the roster. Like, speaking to none of us, but everyone in that market. Like, look, we understand we want to win just as bad as you guys. Because you got to think, the Buffalo fan base has been let down year after year after year. I mean, gut-wrenching losses, whether it's at the hand of Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow coming in town. And so when you have one of the best quarterbacks in all of football, and your fan base knows that, it's always going to be a level of pressure to put pieces around him to when it matters most, they're able to get over the hump.
And can I say something real quick in defense of Brandon Beane? Mm-hmm. I think the types of trades people were talking about them making, like a first-round pick for Waddle or Olave, would have been crazy.
Absolutely.
Would have been ridiculous.
So okay, I didn't know if you would agree.
To trade that much capital for a wide receiver, if you would tell me they're going to go out and
don't say it like that. Wait a minute. I mean, I could say if it was a different type of wide receiver, okay. But
for one of the best offenses in football, to go add a wide receiver would just be unnecessary. They don't need a receiver.
No, with the way that they're constructed, they're built to run the football and to play through their tight ends. They have constructed this offense to survive without a number one, better than anybody in the National Football League. And so to go out there, I don't think we as fans or viewers sometimes, when we're on the outside looking in, understand what you might have to get rid of or give up to acquire these other guys that you're hoping to bring on your roster.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I also think that it is incumbent on, and I know it's easier for the Chiefs to do this because they've won already, and they've won so much. But I think if you are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, those three teams, and really just those three teams, it is your responsibility to always be focused on the now with a long view. If you have one of those three quarterbacks who still has another 5, 8, 9 years of great football in them, being too hasty is what you can be like, man, it's what, in my opinion, not through trades, but it's what Cincinnati has done, where all of a sudden they have misallocated their resources in a way where there is just going to be a big gap of time where they're not even in the mix. Mm-hmm. And so I think it would have, if they would have done the Quinnen Williams trade, it would have gotten universal applause. And I'd be like, Ed Oliver's gone, and when Ed Oliver comes back, look at that D-tackle duo, who, bleep them picks. I think that would have been crazy. That would not, in my opinion, have been a good management. Now, you could split the baby a bit if they had done the Rashid Shaheed trade. I know you're saying you don't need a receiver, but something similar to what they did last year, Jalen Phillips, where the Amari Cooper trade, I know that didn't work out. Something in the margins, I think would have been fine, but ultimately that's probably not deciding it anyway. So I actually think Brandon Beane has done a really good job. I just don't, I don't see the need for him to go on TV and defend himself like that. I just don't know what you gain from it.
As a Patriots fan, I like that they didn't do anything, though. So I think that has to weigh into the equation somehow. So, I would have been a little, you got Quinnen Williams, you're really going for it? There's an element of if I'm the Bills, it's a little bit like with the Achilles injuries in the NBA, where it's all right, the Chiefs might be the wild card at best. Maybe they win it, but if I'm being optimistic, not afraid of the Patriots and Drake May. He's brand new. Lamar is struggling to get in the playoffs, and Joe Burrow's out. Maybe this is our window. I got to worry about the Colts, and the Colts are being aggressive. Maybe if we're in an arms race with Indy, maybe we do take our shot here, and even though it's not the most prudent thing in the world.
Just real quick, I know you're saying if you were the Patriots, you would have been bummed out if they got Quinnen Williams. I actually think they maybe would have been more aggressive if the Patriots weren't having the year they're having. Because I do think they now have to consider, man, it is not going to be a cakewalk through this division over the next few years. We are going to need, be able to restack young, cheap talent. And so we have to take a more conservative, if you will, view because the Patriots are going to be right in the mix over the next decade.
Ravens in Minnesota. Lamar has been great all year. Defense recently got better. Here he is getting better.
Got to stay locked in, can't can't get on the high horse, just from winning 2 games in a row. We got to stay locked in. Like I said, we've been locked in for the last couple of weeks, and we got to stay that way. I believe we turned a new leaf. I believe so.
Danny, what's on the line for the Ravens?
Well, it's pretty obvious that their margin for error has been shrunk considerably because of injuries and because of early season losses. So any loss is going to be like, oh, wow, are they going to miss the playoffs? Like, that is still on the table for Baltimore. My eyes tell me that their defense has gotten much better, and as they've gotten healthier. And Lamar is awesome. And that is rudimentary analysis. I understand that. But Lamar this year is just like he was last year. He just hasn't played in every game. Like, when Lamar starts and finishes games, they score 35 a game. Like, I don't really know what more we need to ask or see from Lamar. So I expect the rest of the way, because that's what it was last year. Lamar was 41 touchdowns and 4 picks last year? And then you added in the rushing, and it was a historic season that only him and Aaron Rodgers, I think, had done in terms of the number of touchdowns against the number of turnovers. Like, anytime Lamar isn't spectacular in a regular season game, it's shocking. But I expect him to be great.
But do you agree that, separate from that, do you agree if they lose, they're done? Because to me, what's on the line for the Ravens this weekend is their season. That if they must be 6-5 through 11 games. They're right now 3-5. They have to win this game. They have to win the Browns game. They have to win the Jets game. Because I don't know how many games you guys think the Steelers are going to lose. But if they fall to 3-6 and they need to get to a minimum of 10, there is no, I don't care how great Lamar is, there is no reasonable reason to believe that a 3-6 team is about to go 7-1 with a toughest part, not the toughest, but a tough part of their schedule coming up. So I agree with you that the offense is dynamic and a real machine. But I also think they could lose, and it looks like something. We talked about this an hour ago. They were 4.5-point favorites. Now they're 3.5-point favorites.
Greg made such a great case for the Vikings.
And so,
he moved the market.
I think if they lose, they're done. I think that if they lose, their season is just over. Oh. And so that's, to me, what's on the line for them.
Yeah, the playoffs are on the line. I'm not going to say their season is on the line yet because I still don't believe wholeheartedly in the Pittsburgh Steelers with what they have left on their schedule. But you can't lose this game. And every single week that they play, it's a must win. Like, that's where they put themselves, that's the position they put themselves in. And Lamar, as great as he's been offensively, I'm still hung up on the idea or with the belief that I don't know what their defense really is because of who they've played as of late. And so this will be a test with the Vikings, but then how great of a test is it going to be because of them with the young quarterback, them not having the offensive explosion that they did last year. And so moving on in the season, they got the Bengals twice, a team that we know they can put up a lot of points on, but so can the Bengals put up a lot of points. So their margin of error is just constantly getting less and less. And if they lose this game, it's going to be tough.
You would feel like they're still likely to make the playoffs if they lose to the Vikings?
Well, you said it's over if they lose, and then turning it over and saying likely better than 50-50. They still have a shot. They will have a shot. The season does not end.
I agree with that.
We could put up the schedule, man. The right-hand column of their schedule is very difficult, but you can't tell me that you don't think they can beat the Bengals and the Steelers and the Patriots.
I certainly. What do we think they can go right-hand of that schedule? A Steelers team that they haven't swept in I don't know how long. I think in Lamar, since before Lamar was there, is last time they swept the Steelers.
I mean, they're probably, they're favored in at least 4, if not 5 of those games. Like they're not favored in Green Bay.
They're not favored in Green Bay, and I don't know that they'll be favored in Pittsburgh, but they'll be favored in certainly all the home games. Week 18 is tough to. But what do you think is their best case scenario for that right-hand column?
Best case is 5-1.
Okay, so I would call it 4-2.
I would say 4-2.
But if they lose this game, if we're saying it's, and I don't know, Christina, can we throw up the Steelers schedule? Because then it gets real tricky, guys. Because if they lose this game and they go 5-1, that means
that's 10.
That's 10. If the one loss is one of the Steelers games, that might not be enough.
Sure. Listen, it might not be enough depending on, they absolutely would need to win the right games.
Yeah,
and that, I said that off the top. Their margin for error has basically been eliminated. You say it's been completely eliminated, and I'm just saying they've got another one more game because they can still sweep the Steelers. Having not lost in the division yet for them in terms of the teams they're chasing is massive for them.
I think it would. We have never, I mean, Josh, you can tell me in my ear if I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain I'm not. The Ravens have not swept the Steelers since in like a decade.
They always play.
And so the idea that this year, when it's a better Steelers team than we've seen the last few years, and it's the worst Ravens team we've seen the last few years, this is the year they're going to sweep them. That would be stunning to me.
All right, that game is Sunday at 1 on Fox. We're headed to San Francisco, where Matthew Stafford will be taking on Mac Jones. Sean McVay, very complimentary about his own quarterback. Take a listen.
He's played a lot of really good football throughout the course of his career, but I think what I'm currently seeing is a guy that's in total command. That's not any different than what I've seen in previous years. He's been awesome. I think he's playing excellent football, but there's a lot of instances that I could point to when he's played great football, and that's why we're fortunate to have him leading the way.
All right, more likely this game, Stafford plays like the MVP or the 49ers pull off the upset.
Stafford MVP game. I know it's happened once already before, but Stafford to me this year has been borderline perfect. Like, I know people can point, I know Barnwell pointed out to like individual missed throws in that article that we cited earlier, but if you're halfway through the season and we're like, he missed a throw to Puka Nacua once. Like, he's playing virtually perfect football, and their defense has been awesome, so he doesn't even need to be supremely excellent, like top percentiles of his abilities for them to win. Given they lost already, I would expect the Rams to have a huge bounce back spot here.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the upset simply because this is, I want to say Kyle Shanahan, and Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, his record against Sean McVay is like 11-7. Like, and for a middle from like 2019 to like 2022, he just didn't lose to Sean McVay. And now the Rams have been a little bit better.
The big story was when McVay beat them
in the playoffs.
To the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Because he had Shanahan had owned it.
Yep. And so when I think about that and what the 49ers have already been able to do, beating them once, like, they just match up well against this team. They understand what they're up against. There are no surprises. And so you know how great Matthew Stafford is playing. You know who Puka Nacua is. You know Devontae. You know all these players because you see them twice a year, every single year. So this 49ers team will be ready. Kyle Shanahan will have a game plan that's going to make it an ugly game where they're going to have a chance to win it with the game on the line.
KW. Let's have the conversation you want to have, because Brew's not here. We miss Brew. We love him. Let's take advantage.
I don't think it's a real conversation.
So let me walk down the path, because I believe the Rams are going to win. For the record, I think the Rams have. You guys know I had a little fling with the Rams last year.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked that team.
Fortunately.
My NFC Championship game pick for this season was Bucs over Rams. So I believe in the Rams. If the Niners win this game, I think Mac's just the quarterback the rest of the way. I think that Brock's toe, it's just hasn't quite healed. And
and you think that'll be fake?
Well, I think that it's not. Let me be very clear. Obviously Brock Purdy has a toe injury.
I know you believe that.
But I think Ty is going to go to, man, we're rolling. And if they win this game, KW, and this was your take on the Niners before the year, kind of. One of your takes was whether they're good or not, that I wouldn't give Purdy credit because the schedule's so soft. Take the Purdy piece out of it. The schedule is so soft. I don't know, Christina, if we can throw it up or not. I should have told you, my apologies. If they get to 7 wins with games left against Arizona, Cleveland, and the Titans. I'm not even including the Panthers as a layup because the Panthers, you've earned that respect. But that's 3 layups in there. And then Panthers, Colts, Bears, Seahawks, those are, say they only go 1-3 in that spot. That's 11 wins. And Max played well. So if they upset them and they've now beaten them twice, and they've beaten, again, the Seattle game, Mac wasn't there for it, but they're in such a strong position. I think your guy Mac might just be the guy the rest of the year.
Comeback player of the year?
Oh, the NFL changed that. It has to be about, they changed the way you can.
Does it have to be injuries?
Yeah, you can't come back from sucking.
That's actually how they wrote it.
No, that's true. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Can't come back from it.
That's what happened.
They wrote it that way.
I love you. I'm sorry about that.
You bring Mac back, or you bring Brock back at some point.
Last night, Lakers beat the Spurs 118-116. Not the most beautiful basketball game, but entertaining late. Monster game from Luka. Not a great game from Wemby. He only had 19 points, 8 boards, and 5 turnovers, and he fouled out. Luka with 35, 9, 13, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Pretty ridiculous. So, Nick, your guy Luka.
Yeah.
The guy that everybody deemed as the best player in the world after one game in Wemby, and I do say that conversation was valid. Bigger story, Wemby's flat night or Luka's dominance?
Luka's dominance, because Luka's 5 games so far this year where he scored 200 points, the only other person to do that through the opening 5 games of the season, Wilt Chamberlain, who did it twice, has just been a reminder for everyone of who the hell he is. And it was... You seem not to remember it as crisply as I do, the Luka revisionism that was going on after last season about where Luka stacks up amongst his peers. Like, well, clearly, he's not Joker and he's not Shea and Wemby's coming, and what about Giannis? Like that.
Well, I think all of that is fair. Like, if you want to say that Luka is the 4th best player in the world or the 5th best player in the world, like that's right in line with where I have him.
Yeah, so I think, again, I think people were grading him a touch below that, but Luka has an argument on any, like, Joker to me has the belt.
Yeah.
But if Joker's in his own category, Luka has as strong an argument as anyone that he's the next best player. And Giannis is having an unbelievable year. Shea is having an unbelievable year. Wemby has not yet established it yet. And, yeah, but Wemby has no titles. And to your point, Wemby hadn't made the playoffs. After game 1, people were asking, is he already the best player? And the idea behind the Lakers should be, if we have one of these supernovas, which they have in Luka, then if LeBron is still just, last year he was 6th in MVP voting, if he's just the 16th best player in the league, if he really falls off from where he was last year, can they contend for a title? And with what we're seeing with this, to credit for JJ, what they've been able to do shorthanded, no LeBron, no Austin Reeves last night, working new guys into the rotation in Laravia or DeAndre Ayton, like the Lakers are a real contender now, and that's to me the biggest story.
So it feels premature, 7 games in for the Spurs, 9 games in for the Lakers, to really say that anybody is a contender. Like it's an NBA season. It's such a marathon, and then the playoffs are a marathon after a marathon. So I want to see Luka and what is this version of LeBron? And then what happens with Austin Reeves? And does DeAndre Ayton, is he just making a good first impression, or what is he over 40 or 50 games here? So I feel like maybe other people wrote off Luka. I never did. Like 4th best player, 6th best player, a healthy, in shape, motivated Luka is one of the greatest offensive players that I've seen in my life watching basketball. So I never doubted that guy. So last night it was like, yeah, a 26-year-old in his prime without LeBron out there, he had a great game. I want to play what Wemby said after the game, because to me, he is the story of this season. And like what he did coming off of the health scare, being the best player, how far can he take them as a 21-year-old? And I just thought he was very honest and introspective after that bad game last night.
Feels like the game is going fast somehow. Feels like the game has, like, as we got better as a team, and as we all of us got better individually as well, it's like the opponents have stepped up. in some ways defensively, and I feel in a way that the game feels fast right now. So we're gonna catch up on it, of course. Personally, I haven't seen this kind of defense from teams, So we need to adapt as a collective.
So I just thought it was a really honest, introspective thing, and we know how he treated the offseason to like mindfulness and all of that. And if we're putting him even in a category with Jokic and Giannis and Luka, all of those guys are 6 years older than him, 5 years older than him, 9 years older than him. He is getting treated in a way that he's never been treated before. And it will be interesting now to me, first quarter of the season, next 10 games, how does he bounce back from this? Because we crowned him early. It took 4 games for that to sound ridiculous. And now is what we saw last night going to be the new norm? Or can he bounce back to how he looked in 1 or 2?
I mean, it can't. What we saw last night can't be the new norm.
But for a stretch of time, for a young player to play inconsistent, that would be totally reasonable for a 21-year-old.
No, I disagree with you. I do not think it would be totally reasonable for a guy people think it is
for a 10-game stretch for a period of time.
Well, hold. If the right now the expectation for Wemby, it seems, is he's going to be at a minimum one of the 15 greatest players ever. Then year 3, all those guys were night-to-night excellent, all of them. And so I don't listen, I am not, I'm not going to, he had a bad night Sunday night, whenever it was, he had 9 points.
Yeah, the game against Phoenix when Dylan Harper got hurt.
But we are, and we were after going into this season, and certainly after night 1, talking about his trajectory and the greatest big men of all time. And Shaq in year 3, that team's in the finals. Akeem in year 2, that team's in the finals.
But so that's why this is the bigger story. Because we put him in, you're doing this, 15th greatest all time. And now it's a couple of games in a row where he's struggling, and he's saying all of a sudden, game feels fast to me. Monitoring that early season is the bigger story. Okay,
so, I mean, if I thought, I guess we're kind of having 2 different conversations. That's my mistake. If I thought this was going, if this continues, this intermittent play, then it is the bigger story. To me, there is not the he's 21, he's in year 3 curve. I'm not really that interested in that for a player we're talking about. And top 15 of all time is conservative. People talking about could he end up being the greatest player of all time. I look at this as more of a blip. I don't quite think the Spurs are actually I think the contender conversation before the year, people were like, maybe the Spurs, and I think that spot might be taken by the team they played last night in the Lakers.
And Luka was absolutely ridiculous. Let's get back to football here. In Tampa, 6-2 Bucs, 7-2 Patriots. Your NFC pick, the Bucs, rested Week 10 coming off the bye. They've been dealing with a ton of injuries. Baker, though, says the team is ready for the rest of the season and the Patriots, despite all the adversity they've faced. Take a listen to the Bake Show.
Guys have shown that it's a resilient group and that they're able to handle whatever we throw at them and whatever we have installed. So, just got to keep going. At this point, it's real football starts, and we have obviously a really, really good opponent coming in here.
What chances are you giving Wilds' guy Drake to outplay your guy Baker?
Listen, I think there's a decent chance. I don't think Drake May is better than Baker. I think Baker has earned the right to be in the mix, to be considered, with Joe Burrow out, the 4th best quarterback in football. If it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar is your top 3. When we are talking about who is the 4th best guy, the 5th best guy, Baker's name has to be high on that list, along with Stafford, along with whomever. I don't think Herbert has earned the right, but I know you do. That's fine. I think Baker has played to that level over multiple seasons now. But Drake May's been outstanding. So I think it's certainly on the board Drake outplays Baker. I wonder if you think it's on the board the opposite.
Yeah, it's on the board. And listen, I think that what happened to Tampa early in the season was good fortune, and that happens in football. We talk about this all the time. The razor's edge, slim margin of error. Most games are 1-score games. Tampa was on the right side of most of it. I think they're about to be 6-5 after starting 6-2 with the Patriots, Rams, and Bills coming up. If I'm wrong about that, and they go 2-1 in that stretch, with not all of with Godwin not back yet, with a couple linemen not back yet, with Bucky Irving not back yet, Evans obviously not coming back until hopefully the playoffs, then Baker should absolutely come back into the MVP conversation because of how soft their schedule is at the end of the year. I just don't expect it to happen right now. I think they're going from 6-2 to 6-5, and then they'll finish 11-7.
So, but the fact that you think they're going to go 0-3 means you just think they're fraudulent. If you expect them to lose all of their games remaining against playoff teams, then you just think they're fraudulent.
I think they're exactly what they've been the last couple of years. A good team that beats up in the NFC South with a unbelievably talented quarterback with a great organization, man. They brought back all 11 starters on offense. They score a ton of points, but I don't think they're a great overall football team.
But the last couple of years, they have been, at the very least, the exact same caliber as the Rams, who right now have, like, the Rams won a Super Bowl 4 years ago, and the Bucs won a Super Bowl 5 years ago. Obviously, not the same people, but over the since Baker's been Baker, they and the Rams, you could argue the Bucs have been the more consistent of the two teams. The Rams have not gone on some deep playoff run. The Rams have 6 wins. The Bucs have 6 wins. It is surprising to me that there is such a hesitation that the conversation for you around Tampa is they have been winning close, as opposed to they have been arguably as injury-riddled as any team in football, and they have overcome it. They have won despite that, and so to then, I'm not picking them to go 3-0 in this stretch, but I think they are going to beat the Bucs, and then I think I think they're going to beat the Pats. And then you have 2 tough road games, right? But the Bills game and the Rams game is on the road. You have 2 tough road games, and you hope to split that. It is, to me, Baker and this team has earned more benefit of the doubt than basically your expectation is whenever they play a good team, they're going to lose.
Well, do you think they're better than the Rams? Because I look at Stafford as being better than Baker. I look at the Rams defense as being better than the Bucs defense. I look at the Rams coach as being better than the Bucs coach. I don't think they are that caliber of team. It's a perfect comp. Because you're right. The resume on paper says it's similar, but it's a perfect comp.
I mean, that is the NFC title game that I picked, and I picked the Bucs to be the 1 seed.
Fair enough.
So if that game were in LA in the playoffs, I'd probably favor LA. It's in LA here in a few weeks. It's not quite the same as a home playoff game, but yeah, I mean, I think those. I'm just saying. I think those two teams, they're not the same as far as their personnel, but their track record, their literal record this year, where I consider their quarterbacks in kind of the quarterback hierarchy, are all very close, similar. And it just seems like you look at the Rams as a real deal contender and the Bucs as a lucky team, and I just disagree.
Yeah, I think strength of division, who they have to beat to get there, but we'll call frenemies a tie.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.